Hey, I hope everyone's doing well. Yeah, it's been a while since I've had a chance to talk to you. Everything's good here. Everything's rolling along. There's been some stuff going on, which we'll get into a little bit later. But I want to do a little video and give you some thoughts on a story that I did put out this morning. This is March 12th, Wednesday, March 12th. Did a story on Christian Pierce, linebacker, Chicago Brother Rice, 2025, who just yesterday gave his commitment to Western Illinois University. Now, if you had followed Christian's story, ranked as a four-star linebacker originally, had Power Four offers from all over the place early. Sophomore year, junior year, had a great sophomore year for Brother Rice at the varsity level. Junior year, had a very serious knee injury, I believe, early or mid-season of his junior year, and knocked him out for a while. He really, God, it happened. It happened in the fall, and he was able to come back in time for his senior year, but again, a lot had changed recruiting wise for Christian. The knee injury, and again, a lot of this I wasn't able to put in the story, but I wanted to share it with you guys, especially you parents out there that have kids about to go through the process or are going through the process, or even those that went through the process previously. It's a whole different world, and you've been hearing that from different people, and you've been hearing it from me. And what does that actually mean? Well, I think Christian Pierce's story is a prime example of how things have changed in the recruiting landscape. So, again, once a knee injury like that, a serious injury happens, most of your schools are going to kind of pull back a little bit and say, look, okay, we'll be here when you rehab and you're healed up and you're ready to go. We'll definitely come back. We'll take a look. We'll reevaluate you. And that's basically what Christian was told by quite a few schools. No big surprise. Some schools dropped off, and that's pretty natural, honestly. But some stuck with for a while. In the case of Christian Pierce, and Christian mentioned this and thought it was a big part of it, the injury factor certainly played a role in timing. The timing of all this for Christian Pierce was absolutely horrible. It was terrible. When the injury happened, by the time he recovered, got back into playing shape, the summer one-day camps were over with. So, again, just Christian, unfortunately, the timing was terrible. He missed a lot. And the way this process has gone, especially the last couple of years, walk-ons are basically becoming extinct. Roster limits are down. There's less on a full roster now at the Division I level than there's ever been. There's NIL, there's transfer portal, there's all sorts of things that have come in and impacted recruiting over the last few years, and this is a prime story of all of it kind of coming together. So again, you take in Christian Pierce's standpoint and look, I'm fully behind the 4-star ranking for Christian Pierce, the player that I saw and was able to evaluate. Again, I know rivals lowered the ranking from 4-star to 2-star. That's their prerogative. Totally fine. A lot of others do the same thing. I had a chance to see Christian play last year, about probably later towards when they played Fenwick. So was that actually? It might have been. Was that a playoff game? I think it might have been. Very, very close game. Fenwick able to get the win. But saw Christian play live, seen Christian play a bunch of times previously. I thought Christian looked great his senior year. Really did. I didn't notice any lack of speed, change of direction, any less of an impact than he had before. But it was timing. A lot of schools fill up, and schools are not going to wait for high school kids anymore. That's been made perfectly clear by this story alone. Because if there's a kid to wait for, I would have thought Christian Pierce would have been that kid. Schools move on. You have a hole, you're missing a linebacker. You've got a couple of different options if you're a school. Do you go to the high school ranks and find another kid? Do you go to the transfer portal and go find a kid or a non-kid or an adult, a grown-ass man, if you will, that is got a couple years of college experience behind him? And let's face it, you can go to a lot of different levels and find really good players. You can go, if you're a Power Four school, you can go to the FCS level or even the Group of Five level and find some quality players that are more than capable of making that move up and sliding into the position and filling a hole. And that's exactly what happened in this case. So again, Christian went through the regular season, the playoffs, and obviously Rice gets eliminated. Then all of a sudden the phone gets really, really quiet. And that's the scary thing. And seniors, you know this, anyone that's been through the process knows this. You get in that winter period, that November, December period, and you're not getting a lot of calls and a lot of traction. It's not a good feeling, and it's not a good sign and indicator for sure. Christian hung in there, kept working, finally got a couple of opportunities. One of those obviously being Western Illinois. Western Illinois, I think, noticed that Christian did not sign with anyone during the early signing period. I think after that, Western kind of hopped on board and stuck with Christian. And, again, I give Western all the credit in the world. They're going to give, I think, a terrific player an opportunity. And folks, this is kind of the route now. Unfortunately, there's still JUCO ball, and you have College of DuPage that's certainly still playing football here in the state of Illinois. But that's it. There's very little availability anymore at the JUCO level. And it's ironic because we've talked about the current landscape and how much of a benefit I think JUCO football could be and would definitely help fill, I think, a need for, let's say, developmental kids or kids that have injuries or, kids that are just looking for a second chance that are really good players that could wind up playing at a higher level. But, that opportunity is less and less. So you don't have those available numbers and spots at JUCO. So what other options do you have? If you're Christian Pierce, this move, I think, makes all the sense in the world. You go to Western Illinois, where I'm relatively confident Christian should, in a year or two, be able to find the field and start for the Leathernecks. You have a good season, odds are you're not going to be at Western Illinois in a year. You're going to be probably in a Power Four recruiting list and end up signing an offer with larger schools. And it's happened in basketball for a while, but obviously we're seeing it now pretty prevalent in football the last couple of years. It's kind of the natural flow. So if I'm Christian Pierce, I think he got really good advice. If this is your option, then roll with your option. So go to Western Illinois, become a leader, make some big plays, get seen, get developed. And I guarantee you, higher, bigger Division I schools, including Power Fours, are going to be paying very close attention to Christian Pierce and what he does at Western Illinois. Now, if your Western does it suck, yeah. I mean, if you're an FCS, if you're a mid-major, hey, this is old news. I mean, this has been happening for a long time, especially basketball. Look, I'm a SIU grad. I'm a huge Missouri Valley basketball fan. I've been watching guys getting cherry-picked from Southern and out of our conference for years, and it's happening in football now as well. So again, it's kind of the natural progression. And if the FCS are looking for players, and there's another big change, FCS was a pretty big recruiter of high school talent. You're not seeing that as much anymore because the FCSs are able to go either to the Division I level and find kids that are unhappy or weren't playing, and they drop down to FCS and they're automatically qualified. And in a lot of cases, they end up probably pulling starting jobs at the FCS level and continue their career. So again, it's a lot of portal and then NIL. That's another factor that the FCS schools just can't compete with. There's just, you can't. So that's another way for, the Power Fives or Power Fours, and even the Group of Fives to lure kids away from FCS's NIL money. It doesn't need to be a ton, but let's face it, when you're a college football player, someone's going to give you 40, 50 grand to go play football. Hell yeah, sign me up. So that's kind of what's going on. So again, just the whole story with Christian Pierce, terrific young man, great student, grades never an issue. Again, we talked about the injury. I thought he overcame that. I think physically he's more than ready to take on the challenge of FCS football. And I'm going to be watching him, and I'm going to be really rooting for Christian because I got to know him the last few years. He's just a great kid from a great family. He's going to overcome it. There's no doubt. I'm going to enjoy watching him put things together and make the next ride up to the next level. But again, it's a story that I think every parent, family, recruit should be well aware of, how all this went down and why it went down and how this thing works out. Cherish those early offers, folks, because they are not going to be around forever. And this is proof positive of how things can really get impacted these days. So again, it's you got to be really well aware of the recruiting landscape, and those early offers aren't going to be out there forever, especially this time of year. Now that we're in March, April, schools are back. It's an open recruiting period again. College coaches able to get back into high schools. They start to really begin to narrow things down as far as who they're going to offer, starting in April, going into May. So I'm telling you, folks, if you've got, say, MAC offers or FCS offers already, or you pick some up in April, by May, you better be really ready to make a move and take some visits and get this thing locked up early. Otherwise, you are rolling dice like people have never rolled dice before in this recruiting game. And again, I'll be honest, I told Christian Pierce this. I like recruiting a little bit less these days. And this is one of the big reasons why. Look, I mean, I'll never say I hate recruiting. I don't. I love covering it. I love talking to kids and families. But it ain't getting any easier. And when you see high school kids getting kind of screwed over and dropped here and getting less and less opportunities, it's tough. It's tough on your high school coaches. It's tough on a lot of people around the process. So again, parents, kids, recruits, be very aware of what's going on in the recruiting world. Be very aware of how things can change, and be very on top of everything you need to be on top of, because the game is never ending. And I put it to you this way: it's not going your way. It's not going in favor of the players or the parents these days. It continues to get away from you. So hang in there. Happy hunting. But remember Christian Pierce, and don't forget about this story, okay? Thanks.